Welcome to Computer Organization course. Today we will study subroutines and one of the major application of stack in execution of subroutines. Subroutines are nothing but a group of related instructions written separately from the main program. These subroutines are called as functions in higher level language. So these subroutines are called whenever required in the main program. So code reusability is the main advantage of subroutines. What happens is when subroutines is executed, the straight line execution sequence of the processor is disturbed. So branching happens whenever a function calls another subroutine, the program has to move its control to that subroutine, execute the subroutine and return back to the function which called the subroutine. So here branching is the main concept that gets executed when subroutines are executing. Let us see one example of functions, nothing but subroutines in higher level language. I have taken C language here and program is written to add two numbers. So here this is the main program I have written here and this is the function I have written, that is nothing but subroutine. So this function adds two numbers passed as parameter and returns the result or sum. So let us see how exactly execution happens. We know how straight line execution happens in higher level language like C. So execution starts from main function here. So this statement is executed, then printf is executed, scanf is executed, and while executing this statement there is a function call here. So processor do not execute next statement as printf. Here whenever processor comes to know that a function call has executed, so processor directly starts executing the function return. It executes every statement in the function and when it encounters the return statement, the control come back to the next statement after the function call, that is printf. So now again it's go back to the straight line sequence, executes every instruction one by one. So here you can clearly see the branching happens whenever a function is called because that particular function has to get executed which is there in some other part of the memory. And we have to come back to the next instruction that has to be executed. So this is how functions gets executed in higher level language. They are nothing but subroutines in assembly. And let us see how exactly subroutines gets executed in assembly language. So let us see how functions are executed in assembly language. Here you can see a main memory where my program is residing in the form of instructions. Before giving example, let me clearly explain how my program is divided. See, first this part is the main program and in that program you can see I am calling a function add. So where is the add function? Add function is residing in another part of the memory. Okay, that is nothing but add subroutine. So in assembly language we call function as the subroutine. So here this part is the main program and this part is the subroutine. Now let me explain how exactly this execution happens. Before explaining how functions are executed in assembly language, let us see some common terminologies we use during subroutine execution. This is my main program here and this is the subroutine memory. So in main program I have written call add instruction. So this instruction informs processor that processor has to execute the add subroutine here from this part of the memory. So this instruction is called function call. It is called function call. Function call is nothing but an instruction which informs processor that straight line sequence has to be stopped and processor has to fetch a subroutine, execute the subroutine and come back. So that is called function call. One more important terminology is the return address. See what happens is when function call is written and processor understand that processor has to execute P1, that is a subroutine, but not the I5. The next instruction after function call that has to be executed is P1 but not I5. But what happens is during function call being executed, PC will be pointing to the next instruction. That is, PC will be pointing to I5 itself. When function call is being executed, PC will be pointing to I5 itself. But once function call, processor understand it is a function call, processor updates that PC value to P1. Now what about the I5 address? This is stored in some place and it is called return address. So the instruction address after the function call, whatever you have written, in our example, instruction address of I5, because it is there after the function call, that address is called return address. And why it is called return address? Because when we execute every instruction one by one, the next instruction is not I5. We stop executing a straight line execution here. We go to the subroutine after we encounter a function call here. And after executing entire subroutine, where we have to return to the next instruction after the function call. That means address of the next instruction after the function call, that is called return address. So we have to always return to that instruction once subroutine is over. So return address and function call, two main terminologies you have to understand. From the beginning of the first chapter of this module, we have seen how exactly a particular instruction gets executed. That is, program counter always points to the instruction that has to be executed next. For example, I1. So processor go to program counter, fetch the address of instruction that has to be executed next, that is nothing but 1, 2, 3, 4H, and fetch that particular instruction from the memory, stores that instruction in instruction register here. So I1 here. Once it is stored in the instruction register, processor updates PC value to the next instruction and starts executing the loaded instruction I1. Once this entire I1 instruction is executed, again same thing is repeated. Again instruction where PC is pointing, that particular instruction is fetched, then it is transferred to IR and PC is made to point next instruction to be executed. Then whatever the instruction is there in IR, that gets executed. So similarly this thing repeats. So overall, processor finds out what is the instruction that has to be executed using PC value. So PC holds address of the instruction that has to be executed. So from there PC value, the processor finds out the instruction, fetch instruction from the address PC locating and places that instruction into instruction register and updates PC to the next instruction. So this is how exactly it works. So let me explain how exactly every instruction gets executed one by one and subroutine gets executed. So let us see, initially PC holds value 1, 2, 3, 4H. So 1, 2, 3, 4H nothing but PC is pointing to the my first instruction of my main program. So this is my main program and this is my subroutine or function. Here PC is holding the address 1, 2, 3, 4, that is nothing but PC is actually pointing to 1, 2, 3, 4, that is instruction I1. Now processor gets the I1 based on the PC value here. So processor comes to know that PC is having address 1, 2, 3, 4. So processor passes that address to the memory and memory gives the I1 instruction. So processor stores that I1 instruction in IR register. Now once that I1 instruction gets stored in IR, processor updates PC value to the next instruction, that is PC value becomes 1238H, where next instruction is stored. Now processor starts executing I1. Once I1 execution is done, now once I1 instruction is completely executed, again processor finds out the next instruction, that is 1238H. So processor fetch I2 now and stores in the instruction register I2. Okay. And updates PC to the next instruction I3. Now once I2 is completely executed, processor PC value will be pointing to the I3 instruction, that is PC value holds address of 123C. Okay, so processor directly fetch I3 now and stores in the IR instruction to IR register to execute and update PC value to the next instruction addition, that is call add instruction. So here you can see that every instruction gets executed one by one, and once a processor loads a particular instruction, that time PC will be updated to the next instruction. So when processor is executing I1, PC will be pointing to I2. When processor executes I2, PC will be pointing to I3. When processor is executing I3, PC will be pointing to I4. That I4 instruction is nothing but calling addition, means I am calling a subroutine that exists exactly here. Now let us see exactly what happens when add function call gets executed. So when function call, that is I4 instruction, is loaded in instruction register, processor makes PC to point to the next address, that is 1244H. You can see here in the PC content. But when call add instruction gets executed, that is I4 instruction, when processor actually executes, it comes to know that the next instruction to be executed is not I5. So processor comes to know that it is a function call. So next instruction is that has to be executed is not I5. The next instruction should be is the P1 instruction. So what processor has to do? Processor has to change PC value, because next instruction to be executed is actually pointed by program counter register. So processor removes program counter address, that is 1244H, and places 125CH in the program counter. So now you can see program counter value is updated to 125C here to P1, but current instruction being executed is call add, that is function call. Now what happens is, next instruction, before updating the PC value to the new value 125CH, that whatever the content of PC was there, it will be copied to link register, that is 1244H. So that means when processor comes to know that the current instruction being executed is a function call, processor copies the actual PC value, that is the next instruction address, into LR register. Then updates PC to the function where it resides in the memory. So here in our example, PC LR register will be 1244, that is actual next instruction, and PC will be pointing to 125CH, because that has to be executed. It is the starting instruction of this subroutine which we have called, that is add. So after completion of I4 instruction, nothing but the function call, processor fetch the next instruction, that is P1. Why? Because now PC value is 125CH here. So processor as usual fetch P1, stores in the instruction register. Once P1 is stored in the instruction register, PC is pointed to the next instruction to be executed, that is 1260 here. So this is gone, PC value becomes 1260. Now processor completely executes the P1 instruction and fetch next instruction pointed by the PC, that is nothing but P2. So now processor, when it executes, P2 is loaded into instruction register, program counter will be pointing to the next instruction, that is 1264H. Now program counter executes P3 also. That means PC will be updated to 1268H. So now when P4 is being executed, PC will be updated to 126CH, that is the next instruction. So that is nothing but it is again the straight line sequences. P1 is executed, PC will be pointing to 1260, then P2 is loaded for execution, and PC is pointed to 1264H. So similarly, when P4 is loaded for execution, PC will be pointing to 126CH. After P4 execution is completed, processor loads return instruction, that is end of the subroutine. So once the return instruction is executed, actually PC will be located to next instruction 1270. There will be some random instructions here. But when during execution of return instruction, processor comes to know that subroutine is over and it has to go back. That means when P5, that is a return instruction, is executed, here we can see it's in instruction register, processor comes to know that it is a return instruction and processor has to go back. Here we have executed in main program, we have executed first 4 instructions. So processor has to execute now I5. It has to go back from the subroutine and start executing remaining instructions of the main program. Now how processor go back to this particular address 1244H, because program counter is pointing to the next instruction, that is after return whatever data is there, it will be pointing to 1270. So how to get back 1244? That is whenever we came to subroutine from the main program. Do you remember, whenever we came to subroutine from the main program, we copied the actual address of PC to link register, right? That means we'll just go back. When add instruction was being executed, PC was pointing to 1244. We copied that 1244 into link register and updated PC to 125CH, since the executed instruction is nothing but a function call. Now, so we came to subroutine, executed everything here, and now PC is pointing to 1270 when processor is executing return instruction. So actually processor comes to know that it has to go back. There is a return statement, subroutine is over. So processor copies link register, that is 1244 address, link register to PC again back. So you can see here, when return instruction is being executed, the link register content is removed from the link register and copied to PC. That means PC now points to 1244H. Return instruction is being executed. This is here gone. PC is pointing to 1244H. So what happens after execution of P4, P5, that is return instruction, processor fetch next instruction from 1244. Why PC value is 1244, so processor fetch I5. When processor fetch I5, PC will be pointing to I6. Again, when processor fetch I6, PC will be pointing to I7. So this is straight line execution continues. So how exactly link register plays its role here during execution of a subroutine? That means whenever a function call is being executed, PC will be pointing to the next address, but PC is updated to the subroutine where it is stored in the memory, and before updating subroutine it is copied to the link register. The previous value of the program counter is copied to the link register, so that when execution of subroutine is completed, we can come back to the next instruction after function call. So that is PC value is copied to the link register. So this is using link register. We can come back after function call. That means once we execute a subroutine, we can come back to the main program using link register. Let us see how nested subroutines are executed and how link register concept fails here to execute nested subroutine. First of all, what are nested subroutines? See, nested subroutines are common programming practice where one subroutine call another subroutine. For example, see here I have a main program here, and I am in main program I am calling average function, that is average subroutine. So my average subroutine is here. Within average subroutine I am calling one more subroutine called divide. So divide subroutine is here. You can see one main function calls one subroutine, that is average, and average calls another subroutine, that is divide. So now how is the program flow here? So these concepts are called nested subroutines. Here one subroutine average calls another subroutine divide. Now let me explain how exactly program flow happens here. From the main program, and when I1 I2 are executed and average the function call is executed, then program directly go to the average subroutine and executes P1 P2 and starts executing another function called divide. So now here program directly go to Q1, that is first instruction of divide subroutine, then executes Q2, another instruction of divide subroutine, and encounters the return statement. When it encounters the return statement, program has to always return to the next instruction, right, after function call. See here recent function call is divide. We have called the divide function in my average subroutine. So what is the next instruction to be executed? That is P4. So we will come back to P4 after execution of divide and encountering a return statement. So then we execute P4, then we see that return statement again. So for this return statement, where we have to return, because this function, this entire subroutine is called by the main function. So return statement, again we will go to I4 instruction here and start executing I4 and I5. So it is very important that how return is done. Okay, return statement makes processor to go back to a subroutine which has called it and executes the next instruction after function call. That means when main function called average function here, so once completion of average function, I will go back to the main function and executes I4. When my average function called divide function here, so after completion of divide function, I will go to average function and executes P4. So this is how exactly it works. So now let us see how link register concept fails in the nested subroutine execution. So here what happens is processor executes I1, I2, then when processor is executing function call average, PC will be pointing to I4 here. Then processor comes to know that this is a function call, so processor has to execute P1, not I4. So what it does, it copies that 1240H return address to link register, right? From PC it will copy 1240, from PC it will copy to link register, and PC is updated to 124CH, that is the subroutine, right? Average, first instruction of subroutine average. Okay, so now PC is pointing to 124CH, P1 gets executed, P2 gets executed. Now processor comes to know that there is one more function call. So during execution of this function call, PC will be actually pointing to 1258H. That is, PC value will be 1258H here actually. So what processor does? As usual, processor when encounters it is a function call here, call divide, processor copy the actual return address 1258 to the link register. So link register, the previous value is gone, now link register is 1258H, and PC is updated to Q1, that is 1264. PC is updated to 1264. So processor after executing call divide, that is function call, directly go to Q1 and executes because PC is pointing to Q1. Then processor executes Q2, then processor executes return. So when the return statement in the division function here, division subroutine is executed, PC will be pointing to the next instruction actually. But when processor finds out that it is a return statement, where it has to return? It has to return to P4 here. And where is the address of P4? 1258. P4 address is in link register here. So processor copies link register address back to PC. Now PC instead of 1270H here will be start pointing to 1258H. So this data is copied to 12 here into PC. So you can see link register is copied to PC and link register value is removed. So now PC is pointing to 1258H, that is the return address, and processor starts executing P4. Then PC points to 125CH, processor starts executing return. Now PC points to 1260 here, next address. Now return statement being executed, processor comes to know that it has to go back to the main function. But where, to which address here? The main function here is from 1234 to here. This is entire main function. To which exact instruction processor has to execute after finding out the return statement in the average function? Processor check the link register, but link register is empty because it is used in one more subroutine, nested subroutine call. So what happens here, when we returned from division function to average function here, our link register is used, but we to go back to 1240 from average subroutine, we don't have that link register because we had only one link register we used during nested subroutine execution. We cannot come back. The actual address, return address of the main program, that is 1240H, was replaced when we jumped to division subroutine from the average. So return address of 1240 was replaced by 1258. So what happens is, when there is only one link register where we store return addresses and nested subroutine gets executed, so as we execute new subroutines again and again, the link register will be replaced with the corresponding return addresses. So we cannot come back. We can only come back from the last nested subroutine to last but one subroutine. From there we cannot come back in any previous order. So this is how link register fails, because there is only one link register. So how to solve this issue? That is, we can solve this issue using stack. The major application of stack in any processor is function or nested subroutine or subroutine execution. So let us see how exactly stacks can be used here to execute a subroutine and how it efficiently implemented in nested subroutines. So you can see here the same example I have taken. Here there is a main program, I'll write M, then I have a average subroutine, okay, then I have a division subroutine D. Okay, main subroutine or function calls average here, right? Then average subroutine calls division subroutine. So it is a nested subroutine concept. Now let us see how stack is used. You can see there is a stack over here. There are some random data here, stack. So stack pointer is pointing to the top element present right now. Okay. Stack is empty from 1416H. Okay, here this is empty stack. So whatever I have to push, I have to start pushing it to 1416H. We know stack operation, push and pop. So now what happens is I1 executes. When I1 executes, PC is pointing to 1238H. When that is I2. When I2 is executing, PC will be pointing to the function call. When function calls executes, PC will be pointing to I4 actually, that is 1240H. But processor comes to know that it is a function call and PC must point to 124CH because I am calling average function. So what happens? Processor push the current return address, that is I4 address, into stack. Processor push that 124H into stack. So SP will be pointing to this now. Stack pointer always point to the top of the stack. So 124, that is current PC value or return address, is pushed into stack and PC is updated to 124CH. What next? So once this function call is executed, processor then start executing P1. While P1, PC will be pointing to P2. Then processor executes P2, PC will be, program counter will be pointing to function call divide. Now processor start executing function call, the PC will be pointing to 1258H, that is P4 instruction. But during execution of function call, processor comes to know that it is a function call, so PC must be updated to 1264H, which is starting of the divide function. Now what happens? Again same method, processor again push the return address, that is 1258H address of P4. Again it will push it in that address into 1258H into stack. So SP will be pointing to this now. Once that 1258 return address is pushed into the stack, SP will be pointing to one, that is here, SP will be pointing here. PC is updated to the divide function, first instruction of the divide function or divide subroutine. So processor executes that function call, that is called divide function, and starts executing Q1. When Q1 is being executed, PC will be pointed to 1268, that is Q2. When Q2 is executing, PC will be pointing to the return statement. When return statement is being executed, PC will be pointing to 1270, that is the next instruction, if it is there or empty, whatever. But during execution of return statement, here processor comes to know that next instruction is not 1270, but we have to go back to and execute here, correct? No, that is 1258, we have to go back here. So what processor does now, during function call, every function call, processor push PC value into stack, and during return statement, processor pop out PC value from the stack and stores in the PC. That means the PC is actually, during return statement in the divide function here, processor is actually PC value pointing to 1270. Now processor comes to know that it is a return statement. Processor pop out the top value, that is 1258, and copy it to PC. Means PC now becomes 1258. So after execution of return statement, processor go and fetch P4. During P4 execution, PC will be pointing to 125CH. And after P4, processor fetch return statement and PC will be pointing to 1260H. Now this is again a return statement. What processor has to do? Processor has to pop. See here, already this data is gone. So processor will be, a stack pointer will be pointing to the top element 1240. Here PC is pointing to 1260. Processor encountered a return statement. So this data is popped out and copied to PC. So now PC points to 1240, that is popped out data from the stack. PC directly points to 1240. Stack here is again that removed, that data is removed. This is pop out, how works, pop works. So what happens, one processor that return statement is executed completely, it then fetches instruction pointed by PC, that is I4. During I4 execution, PC will be pointing to I5. So this is how push and pop works. So how stack is used in subroutine? Whenever there is a subroutine call or function call, the return address or PC content is pushed into the stack. If there are multiple function calls again and again, every time PC is pushed into the stack, that is return address. When there is a return statement encounters, processor pop out stack one by one. Now here you have to think that there is a stack order, that is last in first out. Topmost element must be removed from the stack. And how exactly it helps in the subroutine statement? So the last subroutine when we execute, we just return back to the previous subroutine. We don't directly go back to the first subroutine. That means while division is executing here, after return statement, we will go back to the average rate, which is called division. After completion of average, we will go back to the main function, which has called the average. So how subroutines gets executed in nested order one by one, in the same reverse order we go back to the every subroutine and executes it. So that's how stack order helps. That is last push first in first out. The last in first out. That's how that stack works here in stack subroutine execution. Okay. Now let me explain what is a stack frame. Now it is clear for you, I think, like how stack is helped. So whenever there is a function call, we push this return address into the stack. And whenever we encounter a particular return statement, we pop out that and store it again into PC, so that PC points to the right instruction in the function called. So push and pop works. So whenever there is a function call, the PC value is pushed into the stack. Whenever there is a function return statement, PC is popped out from the stack and PC is restored. So what is the stack frame? See, when I said when there is a function call, the PC value, that is 1234H, is pushed into the stack. But it is actually wrong. Not only the return address is pushed into the stack, there are some other details also pushed. When a particular subroutine is called, when function call is executed by the processor, subroutine call is executed, then not only just the return address is pushed into the stack, but also some other information is pushed. So when particular function call is executed with the return address, some other details are also pushed into the stack, and it is called one stack frame. What happens is when we return back to the function after execution of subroutine, this entire stack frame is removed from the stack. So always remember, whenever there is a function call, not only return address is pushed into the stack, some other details are pushed into the stack. So all those details which stores in the stack, that part of the stack is called stack frame. And when we encounter a return statement, we go back to the main subroutine. We don't only remove just return address, we also remove entire details, whatever pushed into the stack, we remove entire detail. That is called stack frame. The part of the stack used, okay, where we store some information whenever there is a subroutine called. So now what happens when nested subroutines are called? So during nested subroutine call, when main function calls average function, one stack frame is created with return address and all other information. When average function calls divide function, one more subroutine is again, one more stack frame is created. When we go back from divide to average function, this is removed, that stack frame is removed from the stack. When we go back from average function to main program, one more stack frame is removed from the stack. Now apart from the return address, whatever the content will be there in the stack frame, whatever different contents are pushed into the stack frame, let us see what are there in the stack frame, what are the contents of a stack frame. Let me explain. Here is the example for one particular stack frame. Okay, So you can see what are the contents is that one return address must be there in the stack frame, because whenever we call a subroutine, we have to return back to the main routine. So when we when you have to come back to the main routine, we need the return address. So return address, whenever a particular function is called or subroutine is called, if initially we push the return address, then we push some parameter pass to the subroutine. Yes, you know, in C program or higher level languages, when function is called, you can pass some parameters. So those parameters, when subroutine is called, whatever the parameter we have passed, they are pushed into the stack after return address. And the local variables of the function or routine is also pushed. That means whenever here in the my main program, okay, when the main subroutine calls this average subroutine, the return address of the main subroutine is pushed. Then the parameter passed to the average subroutine, they are stored into the stack, and later local variables of a main, who is calling average subroutine, main subroutine is calling average subroutine. So local variables of main subfunction is stored in the here. Similarly, when this average function subroutine calls divide subroutine, then return address of average subroutine is stored, then parameter passed to the divide subroutine is stored, again that is arguments here and return address, and local variable of average subroutines are pushed into the stack. So this is all together one stack frame. In nested, what happens is initially when a function is called, one stack frame is stored here. Then again one more function is called, one more stack here stored. For example, here when main function calls average function, this stack frame is stored. When again average function calls divide function, one more stack frame is created. When we return from divide function to average function, this stack frame is removed from the stack. When we return from average to the main function, again this stack frame is removed from the stack. So this is how stack frame works and what are the contents of the stack. Now let me explain what is frame pointer. So here there is an example of the stack where multiple subroutines are called, maybe nested subroutines are called. So what happens is whenever a particular subroutine is called, one stack frame is created with the return address, argument passed to the subroutine, and local variables. All are pushed into stack and one stack frame is created here. So when another subroutine is called, another stack frame is created, that is stack frame 2, then stack frame 3, stack frame 4. You can see 4 subroutines are nested here one by one. So there are 4 different stack frames. Now how SP works here, stack pointer always points to the top value present in the stack. So here currently when stack pointer points to this part of the stack, because this is the last stack frame pushed. So what happens is when we return from a subroutine, this particular part is removed from the stack, that is popped out. So what happens when this is popped out, stack pointer points to the next beginning of the stack pointer, beginning of next stack frame. So similarly when this stack frame is removed from the memory, stack pointer points to the beginning of another stack frame. So similarly how stack pointer works here, stack pointer do not point anything within the stack frame. Stack pointer do not point return address or argument or local variables. Stack pointer directly points to the beginning of the stack frame once remaining stack frames are removed from the stack. So whenever if there is a stack frame here, stack pointer points to the beginning of the stack frame. When it is removed, stack pointer points to the beginning of another stack frame. So this is how stack pointer works. Using stack pointer we can access every frame, right? We can push a new frame or we can pop out currently pushed frame, stack frame into the stack. But how to access, suppose if I take this particular stack frame here, how to access the sections of inside the stack frame? See, there are some arguments passed I have stored, there are some return addresses. Okay, let me consider this particular stack frame. So when this particular stack frame is here, now how to access every part of this stack frame? I can access entire stack frame using SP, stack pointer. But how to access every section of the stack frame? That is, we need a separate pointer which I can increment or decrement to access the local variable section or arguments passed section or return address of the right, that return address section from the stack frame. So inside the stack frame there are multiple sections, that is local variable, argument and return address, that can be accessed using frame pointer. So frame pointer is nothing but it is in relation to the stack pointer. We use frame pointer to access every part of the frame, and stack pointer is used to access every frame directly. So using stack pointer I can push a new stack frame or I can pop out a particular stack frame. But inside the stack frame, if I need return address, argument or local variables, I have to use frame pointer in relation with SP. So this is called frame pointer. So this is all about subroutine and how it gets executed. So in this session we studied what are the subroutine and what are nested subroutines, how they are executed using link register, and how link register concept fails to execute nested subroutines. Then we introduce stack, how stack can be applied to execution of subroutines, and that is one of the important application of the stack. It helps in the execution of subroutines. Then what are the stack frames and what are the frame pointers. So this is about this session. Thank you.